to Las Vegas as we get ready for a UFC fight night at the Apex, and welcome Karl "The Truth" Williams. Karl, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Well, I got to be honest with you. I used to host a weekly radio show back in the day with a really good friend of mine. His name was Karl "The Truth" Williams. He was the wide receiver punt returner of the Bucs. I'm curious, how many times do people confuse you until they maybe come up and meet you and say, no, you're not the kick returner?
I've got it since high school. The old boxer
Yep.
was, I don't know if he's the original Karl "The Truth" Williams, but my coach is who told me about him in high school when I played football. So the older generation or more mature generation who keep up with sports, they know about it, and I get it a few times. Yes, sir.
All right. See, this is my new best friend. Because he said the more mature generation, not the older generation, which I fall under. So I definitely appreciate that. Now, Matt would always say that only one person should have the same nickname and that you should fight them for it. I like your chances.
Oh, thank you. Against the boxer or the punt returner?
Well, really both, because the boxer is probably 75 now, or maybe even 80.
He passed away at age 53.
All right, so there you go.
so advantage you.
Yeah, so I think you win that one. Yeah. and Karl, I think he weighed about 185 pounds. Now, he may be able to outrun you, but I don't think he can outfight you.
No, if they do trivia on me, I don't think he'll outrun me unless it's long distance.
Well, there you go. It might be. What's fight week like for you?
I've been out in Vegas, so it's kind of a typical week. It's a little more busy because of the media, and you have to move around a little bit more. But other than that, Vegas is now my second home, so you're just like rolling through everything else.
When fight week, you've had many of them. Do you try to keep them all the same? Do you try to mix it up a little, to just get through the next couple days? How will you handle it?
You just, with fight weeks, especially with the UFC, or even like local, you kind of have to go with the flow. You can't really build a routine because fight times change. Like now we have media obligations, so that changes your schedule. So if you're like football, when you have football, you have a ritual. Or most other sports, it's like, okay, we're going to start at this time. Most of the time you start at this time. You're with a team. But with MMA, everything is individualized. So you kind of have to roll with the punches of what's going on that week.
Eve Edwards, back in the day, told me that the work is to get you to fight week. The reward is Saturday. Talk about that.
Oh, yes. I used to cut to 205. So the biggest thing was like making it to Thursday, weighing on Friday. That was the biggest thing. And then the fight was just a fight. It's just what it is. But the biggest thing, like you said, getting there healthy, getting there on weight, the mind being ready. So that's the biggest struggle, even for coaches and for yourself.
Right. You mentioned you used to cut to 205. My next weight cut will be my cremation.
Okay. Oh, man. That's going to be a quick drop. You'll have to struggle for it.
It certainly will.
So Karl, going back to the legendary, boxer Karl Williams, Mike Tyson's come out recently saying that his motivation for this fight against Jake Paul is for the sport of boxing. He wants to claim it back from the YouTube and the social media stars and influencers. Your opinion on that? Do you think Mike is doing it for the money, or do you think he's doing it for the tradition of the sport of boxing?
Mike Tyson has, I think, proven to the world that he don't really care about money. I think, like, at this age, let me say, I don't know the younger Mike, but I think he already said, like, I'm just, living. So, and then if you look at Mike Tyson, when he talks about Muhammad Ali, I forgot who he fought that disrespected Muhammad Ali, and he just beat the brakes off of the guy. He seems like, even from younger, he respects the sport. He respects the legends in the sport, and I can see why he would say something like that. He's like, you're kind of like making a show of the sport, disrespecting it a little bit, in his eyes maybe, what Jake Paul's doing. And he's like, at this age, I'm kind of like your dad. You go outside and you work, and you're doing it the wrong way, your dad might come and give you a little pop. So I think that's what he's doing to him. You know, it's like, hey, come here. And he still looks good. So that's going to be some hard pops. It's not going to be like the people he's been fighting.
So for all of the hate that's out there for Jake Paul, I think it says a lot about Jake Paul as well. You know, that really he's in a no-win situation in this fight. You know, if he beats Mike Tyson, he's beating a younger man than me, but older than most people. And if he loses to Mike Tyson, it's like, see, he hasn't fought anybody. So I'm a fan of both of them. I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully this will take some hate and, you know, heat off of Jake Paul for getting in there with the former and still one of the baddest men on the planet.
Yeah, and his fan base is going to be his fan base. That's the thing with being that level of a celebrity. You already had the roller coaster of people falling off that don't like you and people coming in that do like you. So his fan base will like it just because. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
you said, it's going to put that little stamp next to your name. The other people, like you said, it's a weird situation because if you do win, you just beat up an older guy, you know?
More mature.
Yeah, more mature, yeah. I say older because of the sport, you know?
Right.
The sport aspect, you know?
Right, for sure. Let's talk about what's in hand Saturday night. And when I did my real quick research, I kind of felt like this is a WCW, you know, match. First you're fighting, you know, one junior. Now you're fighting Justin. Is he like going to come out from underneath? Or to me, it's just kind of crazy that the replacement is the brother of who you were going to fight.
Yeah. And then he replaced the brother from before. So,
Right.
You know, I understand it because I did it for Chris Barnett versus Chase
Sherman
last year.
Uh-huh.
So you're in camp, you see what's going on, and as far as like coaches wise and team wise, you try to save the UFC less headache of having to find another match to kind of like they might not be happy. They understand injuries, but if they have to go out and have to search somebody, beg somebody, not pay somebody a little extra, you're making it a little harder on the bosses, you know. So
Sure.
as far as his brother stepping in on him, it's like, hey, I'll do it. Save you guys a headache. I'm already here. Tickets already paid for. So it makes it easier on them. So I understand why the junior took the fight, and then Justin. After watching the fight, I'm like, I knew he wasn't going to be able to take the fight. And everybody around me and even myself was like, I'm going to most likely fight the brother, you know?
Right.
I didn't know what his injury is, still don't know, or what's the reason why he wasn't able to fight. But with the 4 weeks, I figured, okay, most likely I'm fighting the brother. So, but like you say, good thing is with the UFC is it's a cage. You can't tag them in. They can't slide through the rope. So I'm staying for the tag team. So
That's funny. You know, I've asked fighters this a lot of times when you do have a change of opponent in a roundabout, silly way. Is it sometimes a good thing? You know, it's getting, you know, monotonous, and you know you're thinking and training for one guy. Now all of a sudden it's almost like a new fight camp because it's a different guy that you're fighting.
yes, especially when it comes to one is southpaw and one is orthodox. So now you have to kind of switch your stuff. But that's why a lot of the times, if you have a good coaching staff, they train you on fixing your stuff and making you better. And then under a small percentage of the fight camp is, okay, react to this. Like, this person's going to throw this, react. But other than that, you need to work your things majority of the time. You can't work a defensive camp, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. You know, it's more about what you're going to do to your opponent, not what the opponent's bringing to the fight, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Now, I also understand you're living in Atlanta.
I live in South Carolina. I train out of Atlanta as well, so I'm a nomad. So I live in South Carolina, but I started my MMA career with America's Top Team, and which is now America's Top Team Lima. And Georgia doesn't have a lot of heavyweights, so I came out to Vegas, found a group of heavyweights to train with. So now I come out to Vegas especially for my camps. And then I had to do some rehab last year, so I spent most of the time in Vegas. But if I'm on the East Coast, I'm training out of Atlanta. But I do live in South Carolina.
All right, so I normally I don't do it a lot talking food fight week, but when I'm talking to one of the big boys, I hopefully I can get away with it. I'm headed to Roswell in 2 weeks, so I need to know where should I go eat? What should I go do when I'm in Atlanta?
Atlanta. Ooh. Let's see. Now, if you call me, we could go to Coach Philippe's house. We do some good prime rib on the grill. I'm a big griller, coaches too.
I guess
Going out, there's a place called Batsy's, but if you want real good food, you got to find somebody's house.
Okay,
All right.
I'm calling. I will be there in 3 weeks, and I will give you a call.
That's a great point, Carl, because no one ever invites you over to come microwaving.
Yeah.
They only invite you to go grilling.
So talk about Saturday night, the reward for all the hard work, getting in the octagon. Talk about Justin and what people can expect.
It's gonna be a typical answer. It's gonna be a well-rounded fight. I think it's gonna push me, and every opponent I have always elevate my skills and make me a little bit better because I'm still new to the sport, so still learning. He brings a lot of UFC experience. I haven't faced anybody like him before. Just a big, heavy-handed thrower. So
All right,
it'll
Carl.
be interesting to see.
All right, so that's a traditional answer. Now give us the non-traditional. So what do you really think?
I don't really trash out too much, but I think it's gonna be a barn burner. If I make it out the first round, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna just the movement. I move a lot more than he does, so I test his cardio.
Right. Let me ask you this, Karl. What are you thinking about during a fight? Are you thinking? A lot of times, like when I'm on doing the radio, I'm not thinking. I'm just talking and things are flowing. So is it just flowing? Are you thinking? Are you trying to think? Are you trying not to think? What?
You're just flowing because you start thinking, and even in practice, you realize that you start thinking, you start slowing down, you start standing in place. Every thought has to be like quick seconds. I used to run the 100-meter dash. You think about the start. Once that gun goes off, you're not worrying about your drive phase and different stuff. You're just reacting until you get like 80